associating, for inviting us to this Culture Now season. And also to say that Michael's son is here with us.
Hi.
We're going to keep this, Michael and I can sit in a room and talk for 3 or 4 hours together. The fact that you're in the room too means that we probably will try and keep our tangents less tangential. And I've got a basic structure here, which we might divert from. And what I'd like to do, the sort of formal setup of the talk is about 40 minutes of us talking to each other with questions afterwards, but we want to invite you to heckle, interject while we're talking.
Yes,
I think that might make it more interesting. Certainly might be more interesting for Michael. I didn't realize until a couple of days ago that this month is the 30th anniversary of Michael. You were working as a painter in a studio.
My poor existence.
Your poor existence.
Started 30 years ago.
Jesuit existence. And moving into his Düsseldorf studio, and I was kind of wanted to ask you to set the tone, a loaded question initially. You've been in 3 decades, you've had remarkable work in this time, you've watched some people come and go, literally, Mr. Immendorf, coming and going out in the red coffin.
It was my neighbor.
He was your neighbor. And I suppose I want to ask, I'm somebody who can't even stay in the same job for 3 years, or the same landmass for long. So the process of being in the same place and working, I hate it when gallerists call artists artists. Quintessential studio artists, but there is that sort of element to it. And also Düsseldorf as well. I mean, the academy we know about, but why there for so long?
I had to move there, and my mother married my stepfather, and it was obvious I had to go to school. I was in an internat before, for ground school. First 4 years as a pupil.
Like primary school?
Primary school, probably. I was in an internat, and then I had to move to Düsseldorf accidentally to go to what's it called, high school. Yeah. My stepfather was an asshole. At least he was interested in art a little bit, so I got to a lot of museum shows, galleries even. As a child, as a teenager, I've been on the first art fair in the world ever in history. 68 in Cologne, the foundation of the idea of art fair. So somehow I was in the middle of the art already, accidentally in Düsseldorf, and I don't know why I started being interested in visual art. I don't know. Maybe it is because once you're quite a lonely, poor child, you want to do something in comparative, something different, something special, and my guitar player was awful. I never got taught drawing is easy, you can just do it on your own, and there was the art interest of my stepfather, and so I sort of grew into the art world somehow.
And then the academy, which is kind of, I want to read 2 parts of a Barry Stropsky quote.
Yeah.
Love Barry. He's a great writer, but I think he gets 2 things wrong in one review from '93. The first thing he says is, it took only a glance at Michael van Ofen's first exhibition in the US to peg him as one of Gerhard Richter's former pupils. And I feel like that's a tag that anybody at that time of the Kunst Academy went through, and I feel like it seems wholly inappropriate, at least for you.
But I got it worse from all.
You got the tag from everybody.
No, because I thought you're talking about Gerhard Richter.
Yeah.
Because with my career, the funny thing is, I studied with Gerhard Richter, that's true. However, as long as I'd been to the academy in the class, I did not do any painting. I was concentrated, good pupil, good student, doing modern art. Anything else but painting. My heroes, Felix Palermo, Michael Asher, Daniel Bouvain, Bruce Nauman, of course, Marcel Botas, and these were the guys I followed, I studied, or I must say we had a very good theoretical support, and our star in those days at the academy was not Gerd Richter, it was Benjamin Buchloh.
Okay.
Maybe some guys know Benjamin Buchloh is now he's a kind of international star, I guess, for a certain kind of perspective on art. But in those days he was our hero because he could describe it all, make it thinkable. So you got his teaching, and all what he said sounded very plausible, and it sounded like, okay, when you understand it, you can then do the next step.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I thought I was supposed to do when I tried in the beginning.
But Buchloh is still a hero of mine because I think, I don't know if anybody else thinks this too, but I think he's super intelligent but not academic in the kind of bad vein of academicism, which is kind of ivory towerish stuff. I think he's quite, he can actually do what you're describing for other people, maybe not for you, in that he helps people elucidate their own path, their own practice, right? What helped me anyway.
But it can be dangerous as well.
Yeah.
There's a bit of can have a little bit the effect of what's it called? Religious, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like this is the only way.
Yeah.
Because Benjamin said this.
Yeah. So a bit indoctrinated, maybe.
Yeah.
Which maybe I noticed after a while, which as well maybe made me stop with all that crap and despite do something different.
Okay. Just to say that there's been 2 shows at the Kunstakademie Düsseldorf this spring, and Michael was actually in the first show called Rendezvous 1, which is all about photography, ironically. And the second show is coming up now next month, and it's all about painting, and Michael's conspicuously not in that show. So that's
there are some ironic, some strange developments. For instance, at the Richterklasse, my what's it called? Exam.
Yeah.
I did we call it Meisterschüler.
Master. What's the literal translation?
Master pupil.
Okay.
Master. You got a paper that says the name is Meisterschüler of Gerd Richter. That's all. No exam, no in those days. It was very, very, very open.
Okay.
And I wanted to do a huge, weird sculpture, and Richter suggested for this so-called Rundgang, which is the 1 year all over showing all the students. All the classes are open, showing almost all students' work. And I wanted to suggest a strange sculpture, like a rock. I don't know what. And he said, you want to get your Meisterschüler, maybe think about the rock. Okay, I want to get the Meisterschüler brief. It's important for potential later in the road. The time you studied is only accepted for the pension when you studied successfully. And getting the Meisterschüler is successful.
So he suggested the rock, wasn't it your idea?
No, I suggested the rock, and he suggested better don't do the rock when you want to get the Meisterschüler.
Okay, that's good advice.
It's okay, it was a smart idea. And so I did photograph. So in the academy, my final show was photography.
Yeah. And the academy, I mean, I suppose my first question is about Düsseldorf as a claustrophobic place because of the kind of abundance of success and the names and the burden of being in Düsseldorf. So I guess I'm a more flighty person than you, but I wondered why you stuck around in the city with all of that kind of, you know, Immendorf is your neighbor and Richter's a teacher and the kind of, or was it just a geographic thing? You're living in the city, you happen to be a city.
But it's a bit tight. Yeah. But it's good as well. It's a very small town, I must say. Düsseldorf is maybe 600,000 little bit inhabitants, which is nothing. tense part of London, I think. But for some reason, I don't know why, Düsseldorf tend to be kind of avant-garde, culturally interested city. I don't know, before the Second World War, after the Second World War was zero art, maybe some people know it. Well known zero? Because Mark Fine, with light, white, mystical rubbish stuff. It started in Düsseldorf. Richter Polke, of course.
Mystical rubbish stuff.
Pardon?
It's renamed mystical rubbish stuff.
Music, talking about music, punk, new wave started in Düsseldorf and Berlin. Somehow it's been a melting pot, so I quite liked it. Palermo was Düsseldorf, Boys later, Immendorf.
And then in terms of this idea of you being with an academy or with training under an academic, I'm gonna stop beating up on Barry Shopsky in a moment, but I'm gonna quote him again, and I think it's another starting point. I think I find you the antithesis of what he's proposing here. This is the show from 1993, the Reviews and Art Forum. It was at Rubinstein Diacono, and it's an interesting looking show. I wasn't around to see it. The paintings in the show were in fact exercises, recklessly courting academicism. And I think of you as the antithesis of that. And maybe I've got it wrong, maybe he's right.
I don't know. I mean, certainly my work ever since then, ever since I started, got to deal with the idea of academicism somehow, whether anti or pro. I guess we could talk a lot about that, or have an argument about it. It was certainly was one of the central ideas, the so-called academicism of the 19th century, the antithesis of modernism, not Money or Courbet, but the other side is Lehmbach, German painters, Blechen. Those we look very much down upon as students. It was taught there are reactionaries, not the avant-garde, not the modernism. Yeah, so it's got to do with academicism in a way, right from the start.
Yeah. Yep, let's leave it at that. I think we kind of agree with each other, so we can't generate an argument.
Whether I'm on the
sake of
bad or the good side, I don't know.
Let's look at the work behind us. This is a piece, I think it's been a little bit cropped by it. Anyway, it's an untitled work from 1982. Michael's given it the retrospective moniker, The Mongrel of the Holy Grail, but it wasn't titled that back then.
The Mongrel.
The Mongrel.
Oh.
So this is a mutt. It's a hound dog, a sort of scavenging inbred mongrel, but it's got a higher calling. And I think, you haven't said this to me, but it looks like the higher calling is kind of, it's almost inadvertently stumbled across the higher calling, or the higher calling's fallen on its head.
Yeah, whatever. I must admit, that's one of the first paintings I ever did deliberately with a bit more of an idea behind it, very vaguely, very intuitively. And looking back 30 years back from now, I think a lot of things lie some in, the way the painting is constructed, the formal order is like the master light, the dark space, a figure, a person, a dog, whatever, sitting, some content, and then you need kind of meaning, some higher meaning. And I don't know how it happened. The meaning I thought is this funny light bucket activities, I don't know. And in addition to the normal dog, in addition to represent the meaning, or give the meaning, something strange.
Yes.
Very, very stupid, very adolescent, I must admit.
You said that about lots of early work.
Yeah.
I mean, this is stupid and adolescent and simplistic, but is me it tells me a great deal more about you as a person and a painter than a lot of things that I can say here in front of people in this room. I feel like, and this is the unpleasant bit, it's not a self-portrait, right? But the idea of the kind of painter, your healthy distance from the process of painting or the seriousness of your profession.
Yeah.
Like it's really telling that I'm going to keep plugging this monograph the whole way through this, by the way, but it's a distance monograph with great essays in it. But you know, you've chosen this as the frontispiece of the monograph, and it's telling that that's. And for me, maybe it's just me, and I'm looking as an ex-journalist for emblematic things or microcosms of things or symbols of things. But it seems quite a kind of very simple but great kind of metaphor about your humour, your take on your practice, the idea of a kind of mongrel painter.
Yeah.
With the higher calling, I guess that's why we started.
I do agree, but it took me some decades to understand.
Right, so that's the self-knowing side of it.
Yeah.
That's why it was untitled in 1982, it wasn't called Mongrel with a higher calling or whatever.
In between I had stages where I was a bit embarrassed about the scene and all this early stuff, but well, there it is again. More distance.
I'm going to jump all over the place chronologically. Michael doesn't know I'm doing this. But I just wanted to go with the theme, my theme anyway, for a bit. This is a painting called Evening After the Battle of Wood. It's a new painting, it's in the show that just opened last night. And it's based on an imagined landscape scene after the battle, with the smoke and debris from the cannons or whatever was involved in the battle.
Fog
it's a Franco-Prussian battle, so I guess the cannons. Yeah. And the smoke and the leftover debris is drifting across the battlefield from right to left. And you told us that it's important.
From the right to the left?
Yeah. That battle scenes in historical paintings and other propagandized films and so on, almost invariably
more obvious in films than on paintings, I think.
Paintings more.
I think so. I think it's more films.
More films. More Eisenstein.
Yeah.
The losers almost invariably move from right to left, right?
Yeah. And the winners are moving from the left to the right. Okay.
I'm going somewhere with this idea, but what I'm saying is that this idea of siding with the losers also strikes me as quintessentially Van Ofen-esque. Kind of. Is that interesting?
Yeah. It's very intimate, psychologically speaking. But I think it's correct, yeah. Either you feel like the winner or you feel like a loser in life, a victim or culprit. And more or less, you have to decide.
I'm not trying to be a shrink. I'm trying to say that there's quite an interesting role as a painter or as a person who makes imagery of siding with the mat, of siding with the losers of this battle, or other battles, or battles generally, or battles that painters have. That's incredibly rich subject matter. And I see it more than I normally tell you. I think one of we're sitting in the ICA with all its history, all its future, and it seems kind of odd, as a premise anyway, to be dwelling on 19th century genre painting. But I think the thing that lots of people misunderstand, sometimes willfully misunderstand about your work, is that you genuinely treat the paintings that you start working with as found objects, already made.
Yeah.
You don't go to Italy to see Titian and worship in front of it. You pick up a postcard and start working. But also,
or a catalogue or anything.
But also, you actually have quite a, in some cases, quite a, not even a healthy disregard, but you're quite disdainful of some of the paintings. So you were talking about, this is a painting from its premise was a Jericho painting. And I know that you think Jericho is a pretty lousy painter, but even though after the Medusa, supposedly the masterpiece is not that great and his landscapes are terrible. You also talked about Anton van Werner's paintings being no more important to you than a high-screen TV watching somebody's bad skin on morning television. Anton van Werner.
Anton van Werner,
So, this idea that every painting that you take is kind of hallowed and precious to you is a misunderstanding, but also I'm interested, or perhaps you can talk to us about the dynamic and the process of having this kind of almost, you almost find the premise of your works maybe not laughable but disdainful.
Yeah, distance is something I find that tells me something that's has something about it. I remember often I've chosen the wrong material. Finding my sources, I have to go to the catalogs. I stop. And in the beginning I very often did mistakes, choosing the wrong source, just because I sort of fell in love with the lady there.
Right, that's a good number.
The face.
What's that a mistake?
It didn't work as a starting point in the end.
Okay.
I couldn't translate it or use it for my work. It was a disaster. And I kept thinking about it, why did you choose it? Why did you choose it? Maybe it was the face. The face should not be a reason to choose it. The psychological aspect of it, a reason to choose a painting as a source is the formal order. It depends on the formal order how the source painting is built up, constructed, whether it could work for me as well.
But does there have to be something wrong with it? I mean, okay, I'm going to jump ahead a bit and we'll come back. It's sort of the same point. This, again, its crops are tricky to see. Almost turn this around and see it better, but yeah, it's the premise for this painting was Manet's Déjeuner sur l'herbe, and you also told me the other day that you love Vermeer and you've made paintings based on Vermeer.
Yeah.
So when you have, I mean, there is something wrong with this in the sense that everyone knows this painting is anatomically incorrect.
Yeah.
Not this painting. So I suppose what I'm asking is, what happens to that dynamic when you're actually not disdainful towards the original work, you actually find these people heroes? Is that a mistake too? If you love the work, or if you fall in love with the... is that the same mistake as you've just been talking about, liking a work because you fancy the woman? And I mean, is it better for you? Better? Is it more helpful for you if you're quite disdainful of the source?
Better, yeah. It's better as well when the sources I choose are from painters losers.
Painters losers?
Yeah.
Yeah, Italian painters.
Those we look down upon as students.
Yeah.
Like Angel von Werner or a bit of, this despite attitude and not following the condensed.
Yeah.
And at one point, quite in the beginning, I don't know how it happened, but just happened that I did a painting after Vermeer. It was a good painting, very good painting, but at one point I noticed he's one of the gods. I really admire him, and you cannot do this anymore. Something wrong in the relationship between my admiration for Vermeer is the way he's looked respected, and I just take it in and make a sausage of my own style.
You described it to me yesterday as abusing your heroes.
Abusing, it's kind of abuse, yeah. But I had abused Vermeer.
Yeah.
He's the kind of artist, kind of quality one should not abuse. There's more, it's strange, there's a moral aspect about it.
That it was okay to abuse Manet because there was something wrong with the work in the first place. I'm thinking of Shrink again, but I'm just interested. Because you actually think it's a great painting, but you like this for its flaws as much as it's. But you're not disdainful towards this piece of work.
I like the painting very much.
Yeah.
Déjeuner sur l'herbe. There are other paintings by Manet I like much more.
Yeah.
There's a painting in Essen, the town I was born. There's a guy standing playing flute, and you can see how Manet changed the position of the leg, for instance. Something very delicate for a colleague, for a painter. Things like that. But Déjeuner sur l'herbe is like bit cheeky, maybe like taking Mickey out of one of these icons of modernity.
Right. It's immediately recognizable. Well,
is it?
Maybe not walked here, but it's
Stretch.
yeah. It is when you see it. But the dynamic is different. I suppose what I'm asking is the disdain important? Is the kind of healthy disregard for Jericho, Van Berne, whoever else, does it make a more enriching experience? Like, does it liberate you to make it break? Does it make it more worthwhile?
Yeah.
Because I think the Vermeer painting is a great painting. I like this painting too, but I'm interested that you avoid doing this typically.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's some funny kind of taking in the beginning when I started in 93, 4. One of the ideas to do it, to use badly recommended historic 19th century sources was to turn them into something acceptable, well recommended, by sort of reproducing them, changing them a little bit. I had one idea about studying these historical series about light again, light. Very important subject matter theme. Imagine you're sitting in a terrible space, terrible furniture, kitschy decorations, kitschy paintings on the wall, a really kitschy 15th century, maybe German Spießer living room. And once it gets darker and darker and you don't switch the light on, beauty comes back. The darker it gets, the more acceptable, the more pleasant, beautiful the space will get. Never met that experience.
Yeah.
When the light goes down, the eye loses its capability of focusing. You cannot focus anymore. The colors are gone. Everything is covered in a grey, friendly, dusky mood.
Okay.
That was the start.
So the kitchen living room is the premise, and you're turning the lights down.
Covering, taking the kitchen, but just turning the light down. So in the beginning, I added a lot of black into the copy, the so-called copy.
Yeah.
The old 19th century marker.
Yeah.
It was the first series. The catalogue is, I think, half and half.
Yeah. Sure.
Casting the black, the darkness of vagueness, friendly vagueness.
Yeah. I love that.
Which?
I love that you've never told me that after 2 years of working together.
What?
I love that image, and I love that you've never told me that after all the time we've worked together.
It's a long time ago.
Let's talk about light, because we're talking about light. Listen, light. So this is an early painting. You keep calling this adolescent too.
Yeah, very
This is
very
quite
adolescent.
rough. It's a more portrait
I've
format.
done it, so I have to pay for it.
And you said it in different ways, that light is a much more important tool to you than colour. You said it's a map over a drink just now. You don't see yourself as a colorist. I don't think you see I don't think that you see using color as a failure when you can't paint light, but painting with light.
Yeah.
Whether it's this, whether it's those architectural paintings you're not so keen on now, I feel like you can't paint that this year. You wouldn't have been able to paint that, for instance, this year. This is called Landschaft, Siedberg, and it's in the show, it's just open. If you hadn't painted adolescent paintings, but paintings looking at light and studying light.
It's a development, very blunt, simple idea of developing by sticking to the same formal tools you use, and somehow, without thinking about it, it just happened. My way was using the light more than the color. Light as what brings meaning. As in the first painting, the Holy Grail, the monk Holy Grail, light, very visible in this painting as well. It's like Parsifal, light from above.
Yeah.
The Grail's motive,
Yeah.
Wagnerian, in a way as well. You don't know the word pathos?
Yeah, pathos.
Pathos, solar, something solemn.
Yeah.
And then Holy Grail, the light from above, the pigeon, and I'll reach you again.
We're going to look at this as the last picture in this series, but there's a picture, a painting that Michael's made of a scene in, it's a painting of the Piazza di San Marco, and there's a kind of light that's a filmic light in that, that's almost not, I know it's a painting of a painting, but there's light in that that's kind of flecks of lenses, and it's kind of got a light as we experience light, rather than a transcription of the light of the painting, which I think is an important thing about your paintings too.
Yeah.
Especially your landscapes. Which is neat.
So that's an exceptional painting, the Piazzetta. I was really insecure to do it, and I asked my son again and again, what do you think? Oh, yeah, it's okay, it's okay. The next morning, oh no, that's dry, I can't take it away anymore. But no, I think it's good.
It's
Just
exceptional.
to move a bit more there, stretching the borders, so no risk, no fun.
There's two landscape paintings.
Oh,
I
that's
really
a
can't see
stretch.
that. Okay. Might do this briefly. Maybe I'll do this all together. Can you see that, anybody?
Yeah.
Before and after experience.
Oh, it's the same problem with projection of my paintings at home. The two screens. You never get them.
This is all intentional. This is me making sure that everyone in the room comes to see the show. It's nothing to do with technical issues.
Somewhere you don't get them synchronized. It's the same problem.
Quite like it. When you're starting to paint, I mean, not starting a painting, but when you were painting, or when one is starting to paint, the painting landscapes are the best motif because they're open, they require the least precision. These, I think, are your words, or paraphrasing you. And anything light on top and dark at the bottom can be a landscape. So, let's learn how to paint with landscapes. That seems quite a. But you learn a lot when you're painting landscapes.
Of course.
Yeah.
I learned a lot ever since I started. I mean, my whole development as an artist, as a painter, is learning how to paint, finding my way, and as well learning to improve my way, to get somewhere else, get further. Like Bildungsroman. I looked it up. It's an English word. Bildungsroman.
Not really.
Not really.
It's a borrowed word.
Yeah, but it's used. And then the speaker told me, yeah, I know the word Bildungsroman. Like a novel, writing that describes the development of a young guy to grown up, and and so it's all about developing and learning, and also very biographical, very authentic, very personal. The opposite of what I did before as a student. Buclo, yes, to do that. Which is maybe less authentic.
Painting landscapes is less authentic than worshipping Buclo?
Doing just on your own, in a way, lonely, lost in the wilderness,
right.
Of a future development, doing painting, something you've never done before, something you don't have any knowledge about, no rules, no Buclo rules, no ideology about. The only ideological thing about painting I got in those days is that Richter is a good painter and the rest is the only painter he was spoke about.
Right.
The rest was concept art, minimalism, jazz, no other painter.
So the best place to learn about to create your own ideology in the absence of your big Chloe and Richter's ideologies, or kind of wanting to get away from them, is to take something as simple as a landscape.
For instance,
it's the best place to.
Anything unknown, yet unknown in those days, to start with.
Right.
Get into the strange forest, no ways, no idea where to get out. Just enter the forest and hope you will find out someday, somewhere alive, doing something authentic. I really felt a bit, must say, spießig. You know the word spießig?
No. Being
a good pupil all the time, never done anything wrong.
Yeah.
Being in the internat, Catholic, nuns, got not abused, was nice. Friendly pupil, studied art, wanted to do good work.
Right thing.
With the curriculum, okay, accepted. Bookloop, okay, accepted. Carry on, next step isn't.
You threw away the rock when Richter told you to throw away the rock, so you got your...
Okay. Whatever.
The good people.
What?
The good people.
Yeah. But all of a sudden, I thought, no. Not following the rules anymore. Not being good, easygoing, friendly, brav, Schülerborn, starting something different, authentic, dangerous. And that's when the Entwicklungsroman started. The second one, another one.
I mean, painting landscapes and painting 19th century paintings is dangerous. It's the most dangerous thing I can think of.
What?
Then, anyway, and now. That strikes me as dangerous.
Painting landscapes?
Describing what you do in a kind of neat, this is what you do, strikes me, if I was an outsider hearing that for the first time, as a dangerous thing to be doing now and 30 years ago.
Yeah. I very often got reaction in those days, not now anymore. They have changed. Writers or curators or critics. Mr. Van Ofen, you think you still can paint this? You can paint a deer? You think you still can paint landscapes? I would very often ask that.
Sure.
You don't believe it? It was early 80s. Painting figuratively was forbidden. Except you were a neo-expressionist, wild painter.
Yeah.
But not using 19th century as a sword. It was a little bit, I'm proud of it, a little bit daring to use 19th century.
That's what I mean, it's
but
dangerous.
There was a lot of, not aggression, but yeah, doubt about the possibility of...
So Shropsky got one word right, reckless. It was reckless.
What?
It was reckless. It seems to me a very dangerous thing to have done then.
Yeah, it was a bit dangerous.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing I'm proud of my entire life, having done it.
You are...
And surviving.
Yeah.
Like I said, and the table is, and the children can eat and everything works.
Yeah.
Very.
Yeah. Going back to landscapes for a second.
Okay.
There's a wonderful phrase that I think is your phrase that Hoffman quotes you on, but tell me if I'm wrong. You talk about an aerial view generating system.
It's quite for me. Yeah.
That's you, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Can you talk about that?
Yeah.
So when you're painting landscapes.
It's a very anecdotal story, if you want to hear. It's quite funny. I was always painting my way. This quick, wet and wet is very nerve-wracking, because if it doesn't work, if you don't know what to do, it's causes a lot of energy. It might be paradise life when it works just like that, but it can be very disappointing, very...
Can you rewind for a second? I don't know if you will quote that. Michael's way of painting is literally wet on wet.
Wet,
very...
So with a 1 second the painting can turn from good to bad. Just one big brush stroke, saved it, a lucky punch. But honestly, it's terrible. And I always was embarrassed of the other guys, a friend of mine who used to be an assistant of Richter, and the other Richter pupils who did painting, they copied photography.
Right.
So they took a photograph, they started in the left corner. In the evening they were there, next day there, and this peaceful, calm kind of work I was always jealous of. So I studied it myself. And then the other guy, his name was Andreas Schön, who I think was really close to the Richter kind of painting, was very successful in those days. People coming to my exhibition at the same time in Cologne, they saw, oh, this is another Andreas Schön exhibition. There's something you don't want to hear as a colleague. So if I said, fucking, I start his way. Started to copy photographs of aerial views of industrial areas in Germany. And I only did this for a few days, weeks, and it was getting so boring and so awful. So just couldn't stand it anymore. This stupid, this machine-like copying. And I noticed very quickly that when I kind of put together formal, oh, it's very difficult in English. Formal abstraction started very quickly. But all the little roads, okay, just one road.
Yeah.
Much longer.
Yeah.
And it didn't take very long, maybe a few months, until I noticed if you put a grid underneath, the lines is basic, and on these lines you can play around. And it's like a almost computer-like aerial view generating system. Lighter at the bottom part and darker at the ground part.
So there was no original image, it was just a system. You developed your own system to outdo the other guys in their system. This is the work you use.
Lines.
Yeah.
Okay, the horizon has been fixed beforehand. The sky is all the same anyway, like that, that's one color.
Yeah.
And on the ground there were the grid of lines, and on this grid I could play around with my colors. With earthy, brown, a bit greenish, grass, bluish, water, blah blah blah.
So it's not. I mean, it's. I'm gonna jump right ahead of that. Right. Go back.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah. Too.
So one of the things that you were talking about was painting wet on wet, and that your colleagues who had studied with Richter really painted from a photo.
Yeah.
And so it seemed like there's much greater risk taking when painting wet on wet, and that there's always the risk, as you said, of the painting being destroyed in your eyes in a moment.
Yeah.
Would you consider yourself a risk taker as you paint all of these paintings? And is it the thrill of risk taking, or why?
Of course, both. It's like getting really chased and being in a trap, really feeling absolutely desperate to be caught, and then getting escaped. It's such a relief. It's like a drug.
And I would think also that the potential is great with risk taking versus painting from a photograph, but also very scary.
It's nerve-wracking.
Yes.
Sometimes it brings me close to suicidal tendency. When this work doesn't work, this work doesn't work, you get more and more fixed and focused on this fucking work. I don't want to give up this treasure. I want to do this evening. I want to have something acceptable on this canvas. Getting worse and worse. It's like mental.
And although you're painting wet on wet, and who knows what is going to happen from there, obviously you must also have some preconceived notion of what you ultimately want it to look like.
No.
Or no?
No. I know it's good when I see it. gets faster and faster. The more it develops into the negative. And I go to the camera. Oh, horse. Oh, stop. You know, that's the most important point, to be very nice. Although you are absolutely nervous and aggressive, you have to have the ability to know when to stop. No, rock and roll. Go away, leave it.
And I think that's an interesting point because I've talked to other artists, and when they paint, not in the same way that you paint, but people who sometimes feel that a painting is never done, and they're almost scared to put the brush back to the canvas because the one stroke could destroy it.
Yeah. One stroke can save the painting. Another anecdotal story? Another story?
You asked me if you can tell another story.
About the one lucky punch, the brush stroke.
Yeah.
I had a solo show at the Düsseldorf gallery, and it was the day of the opening, and I was working on the same story again, the biggest painting. What was the last one? Maximum risk. If this painting doesn't work, the whole show is fucked up. And in the morning, I went to the studio, saw the result of last night, and no, rubbish. Called the gallerist, awfully sorry, but no, doesn't work. What, really? No, give it a try. No, sorry, Mr. Frelo, it's over, finished. Sorry. And then it was from episode 8. Just took oh, stop! Cheers. Very relaxed. The show was over. I had kind of surrendered, which gave such an inner liberty. Just one brush in the middle. And stop. That's good. Stop. Go away. Give it a break. 1 hour. Went back, being fresh enough to judge. It's really good. Jesus Christ. The opening was at 7 o'clock at night. It was around 2 o'clock noon, midday. And the stretcher was 2 by 2 meters, but the painting that was good was only 140 by 150. So I had to buy a new stretcher, construct a new stretcher, put the wet painting from 2 meters by 2 meters, wet as it was, on a stretcher 150 by 160 approximately, getting a car hired to put it in, bring it to the gallery, and it was there just 5 minutes before 7. Neat, dirty, smelly, sticky. But it worked.
Are you saying we got lucky? We had the big piece in our show, current show, arrived wet.
Oh.
Wet. At least a day and a half before. So we did well. We were lucky.
It's been interesting as a
Been
collector.
tighter.
When I have collected pieces, as a collector, sometimes I have received paintings, and I know that they are, I would assume a few months old. But when I approach the painting, I smell the paint, which makes me feel good.
I love the smell of linseed oil.
That's just the gallerist of the camera.
The big painting in the show at Alvin James Period is really still wet. The white and the black takes a bit longer than the white and the red takes a bit longer than the black.
Yeah, it's the way now.
Painting. Does it work in English? No, painting. Painting is about a painting.
No, it doesn't work.
No.
It works.
Take it back.
I was going to move swiftly onwards and neatly onto a picture that we haven't got yet. So I'm going to ask you anyway about abstraction, because a lot of people sort of use the A word with you. And you once said, an entirely abstract work is one of the very few things I've never done, as I wouldn't know where to start, where to stop. I would be completely lacking a reliable system for checking control and correction.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think the work that we showed the second image, and there's a few others that people sort of say, I love that work, I don't know why I love it, but it's a great abstract painting, and it's not really part of your whole, not something you can do. It's not that you're snobbish about abstraction, you just don't get abstraction. Why make an abstract painting?
I'm just helpless. because when I'm doing figurative painting as an opposition to abstract, is that okay? Is it polarization?
Yeah.
Figurative, abstract. Figurative always about the imaginary space behind the canvas. Somewhat, somehow always an imaginary space. So it's always referring to your subconscious common memory of images, of master paintings, of life, of our genetics even. A lot of references. Whereas abstract is the thing, the surface, so what to do with abstract. That really helps.
You don't mind making an area of your generating system? That's not abstraction.
It's not abstract. There's a difference between abstraction and abstract painting. As well as an entirely abstract painting.
Right.
Something I would could never do.
Yeah.
Although I did sort of almost like that as a student. But in the tradition of Palermo, I used them as part of the space of the ambiente. I did.
So you happened to make abstract paintings as long as they're part of a larger artwork, then you were okay?
Yeah, that's what. Because then the figure was a space.
Right.
I put a blue 1 by 2 meter canvas beside the door, where you could see painting from the door and space behind the door, giving the idea of imaginary space behind painting.
Right, so the subject was the place.
Yeah, the blue was the imaginary space, the blue is...
And the painting is like a footnote or an illustration of an abstract painting within the narrative of the space.
Something like that. It was just Buchlo's input somehow.
You can't blame it all on Buchlo. Can't blame it all on Buchlo. You did it.
He did it.
You did it. He did it to you, but you did it. Okay, you've talked about painting. Michael titles paintings of drawings, he calls them drawings. And he titles work sketches as well. And I found it quite interesting that we had a group show a while ago, and there was a drawing, which was a painting of a drawing, and at one stage Michael was toying with the idea of considering including materials like charcoal as part of the title, even though there's no charcoal in it. So I suppose I'm interested in this idea that this is a drawing.
Yeah, yes.
It is a drawing? That's your answer?
No, it's not a drawing. What? No, no, it's all on canvas, of course.
Sure.
But it's supposed to deal with the idea of the identity of the craft,
Yeah.
technique,
Handwerk.
kind of faking something, not or questioning the identity of what it is.
Sure.
It looks like drawing, it smells of oil paint. But you could also say it looks like oil paint, of course, as well. I nowadays more like to play with this identity, whether it's drawing, sketch, charcoal on cardboard, charcoal on paper.
But you don't see one as lesser than the other, you don't see one as, obviously, not a study for the other, that's not how you work, but they are drawings for you.
I dare not judge about my own work.
I think we are,
If it's not 10 years at least.
Yeah.
So,
This is the abstract work I was talking about. That is an abstract, of course. But that is a sketch, though.
yeah.
Okay, so
Sketch.
two pictures. The previous was a drawing. This is the sketch, so I'm interested in the difference between a sketch.
That's drawing as well. Could be drawing as well. Sketch. A drawing is a sketch. There's no contradiction between the drawing and the sketch, is there? No.
No. I feel like for you there's a difference. Well, there certainly has been in our conversation.
There are sometimes drawings which consist only of charcoal and paper, but sometimes they add just a little bit of oil color. Like it's a sketch of a face, and only a sketch of a person, and only the face got a bit of color.
Right.
Yeah. Quite like these oil sketches, or sketch, charcoal and oil paper, or cardboard.
I'm going to end by asking you, elusive question. Difficult question, I think. I love what Jens Hoffman writes in this monograph that I'm going to keep plugging the rest of my life. He says, Van Ofen's gesture is not about returning to convention, but rather revisiting the still relevant embers of what painting, and only painting, can affect. And also there's a UN Gallery catalogue, and the cover has none of Michael's work on it, it just has the words, Michael van Ofen, what painting and only painting can do. So my last question is, what can painting and only painting do?
Fact you can give you these moments of perception of beauty. Schönheit. As opposed to cinema. Peaceful, calm, singing on the wall. A certain kind of beauty can only be transported, I think, by painting. Photography sometimes gets close, but painting is a mixture of the image, or an image, something you identify, and its production, the way it is, the way the image is constructed, built up, made.
So it changes the beauty.
Pardon?
The conveying of it changes the beauty.
I think it adds to beauty. You see the illusion, and the reason the illusion is there gets discovered. Covered. It's much less mystical in a way than photography. It's more, well, it's the truth. It's the brushstroke and canvas on the paper, on the canvas. You can see it all, especially looking at my work, which is one, of course, of the most important aspects to me, to make the making, to make it very open, visible, how it works, if it works. Like what you had before, this portrait, just 3 strokes, which is enough to give the illusion of a standing old man in front with a dark background. So, with that, yeah. So it's but a little bit of what I'm trying to say. There's a certain beauty can be.
I'm loving it. I asked a facetious question. I'm getting an interesting answer.
There's a certain beauty I find out more and more that can only be transported by oil on canvas, or acrylic maybe as well. No, not acrylic. Acrylic is drying much too fast. Some effects.
That wouldn't want to work.
Transitions, very soft transitions from dark to light are very difficult to paint with acrylic. It's drying just too fast. And like this evening after the bedlight bird consists only of transition. Very often. Until it's impossible with acrylic. It wouldn't work.
Thank you.
Okay. And I think it's more about hierarchy and heraldic, political representation, or the representation of power in art than military, obviously. But all this old-fashioned stuff, it always looks immediately like military. But I think it's not the center point. I've never done duty, what do you call it? Service?
Military service?
Military service,
Yeah.
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 Maybe it was pity.
Made you better people.
Can I ask a facetious question as well? Because I find the notion that looking for things that only painting find quite heartwarming.
Hard what?
Heartwarming and reaffirming now, particularly. And it interests me. The fact that the format and the medium, in a sense, is secondary to it. either the ideas or the intuition. I think that's something quite lacking in a lot of contemporary art right now. And I wondered, this is a facetious part, because you mentioned you played the guitar, and
I didn't know it.
no, but how do you become a musician, say, as you did with those old paintings? And the painter losers and the painter winners, which composer winners and composer losers? And also what that would sound like.
It's a very good question.
Now we're getting death penalty. But I deserve it. I'm addicted to Richard Wagner. Richard Wagner. But it's not the only one I like, but he's sort of when it all started, Tristan Accord. It's the beginning of modernism, funny enough. Tristan Accord is the beginning of modern music. But it's in the same subject matter. The turning point from old masters system to modernism.
I think this painting sounds like Wagner.
This is pure Wagner.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So had that been where your skills lay in music composition, you would have taken Wagner and kind of recreated stuff.
If I had become a musician
rather than
Composer.
composer.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. I mean, in those days I liked Jimi Hendrix, and but starting doing my kind of painting, having done this step into this pipe, this liberating, freeing from all these learning, being a child, a pupil, a student, was putting my nose into these forbidden things. Wagner's forbidden. Okay, let's listen. Thomas Mann was forbidden, conservative reactionary. I'm addicted to Thomas Mann as well.
So it's a reaction.
What?
It is a conservative reaction.
He's an asshole in a way, yes. He's a pervert. He's gay, never had a man. Although it was all his real desire. But same as Wagner. Wagner is ridiculous. When you look at the text, sometimes it's, oh, ouch, for German. But why not taking it tongue-in-cheek and being addicted as well at the same time. I mean, you don't have to take it on that serious. So I can laugh about Wagner as well, and sometimes I need it for cure. Seriously. Sigmund, sie auf mich.
So, when you look at the development of your work, I thought there's definitely, it becomes more abstract over time.
Yeah.
And we were talking about the fact that you wanted to leave all the rules behind, and you kind of started taking more risks. And then you completely threw me off when we were talking about abstraction and how you could never make a complete abstract painting because you would lose control. And so I guess my question is, where's the boundary between taking risks and still being in control? That makes sense.
If there is no control, if there is no system it all relates to, it cannot fail or win. It's so open. I wouldn't know what is the failure, what is losing, what is winning. It's just helpless, abstract. Like Kandinsky, the spot there, the line there, could change as well. Doing another brushstroke there, it's all the same. I don't see any reference, any system that gives me the possibility of a judgment, whether it's good or bad. I look at Kandinsky.
So you've never seen a purely abstract painting that can do what you described so eloquently about beauty before?
One single.
Which one?
Barrett Newman's Midnight Blue. I think Barrett Newman is Big Red, in Amsterdam. Who's afraid of red, yellow, and blue? Oh yeah, right. It's an awful red. It's a terrible color. It's so aggressive, coming towards you. Ugh. And there's one painting, midnight blue, a dark blue surface all over, and one pale lighter blue line, quite close to the left of the painting. And that works somehow figuratively.
So you allow yourself to like it because it's figurative?
Huh? Yeah, I do like it very much.
But I'm interested in this control of you not. It's almost like you're making judgments the whole time you're making a painting, but this what you said, what you were saying about not knowing how to. I mean, control seems a strange word when I think of you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You have to lose control, but then you have to check it later.
Right.
Coming back to control.
And
I mean,
something's purely abstracted, nothing's control. It's not. So for you, it's abstract painting is arbitrary.
So it's almost like you're losing control in a frame.
Yeah.
Okay. So you can lose control, but not too much control.
I don't lose control in life. Only when painting. Yeah, usually I'm a quite peaceful person, calm. But when painting it doesn't work, I did a lot of harm to my plaster walls, cardboard walls in the studio in the early days. A lot of holes in it. What we call rigging. You can easily make a hole in it.
Yeah.
I don't know whether the question is answered. The abstract is for me is a different planet I've never been.
Well, I think on that note, thank you very much. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Roger. It was great. And thanks everyone for coming. And a big round of applause.